What this parole board represents to Foucault is a kind of training, a kind of disciplining of the body so that it no longer has to be written on in these grand, spectacular letters, but in which the prisoner himself accepts being a docile member of the social body, who goes to prison and simply accepts as a fait accompli the very rules of this humanistic institution. Let me give you an example, and again, this is not exactly a prison, but this is a great example, and I hope you've seen the movie. I like using examples from movies. And if not, there's a great novel by the same name before the movie, and that's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, written by Ken Kesey. The movie stars Jack Nicholson. There is a great reformer in the movie. She's a wonderful woman, and she's there to help the patients. It's Nurse Ratched. Nurse Ratched just demands docile bodies. Randall Patrick McMurphy's doom is that he cannot become a docile body. He's an anarchist. He's doomed. He's excluded. He's excluded, but not really. Actually, he's helped. I mean, he's, you know, the lobotomy calms him down. It makes him normal, docile, like most of us. Of course, if you've seen the film or read the book, you may begin to understand what Foucault is driving at. If McMurphy had been born 200 years ago, he would have lived the grand destiny that maybe Billy the Kid did. Billy the Kid being probably in real life a psychotic teenager. It's probably the sad story about him is that I'm sure the Eastern writers way overdid it, but then that's part of crime, isn't it? I mean, this fascination with it has not ceased simply because power has reconfigured it. Okay, that's one example. But I don't want to leave it with that example at all, because we get in the great reformers some clues as to what they're up to that are magnificent. And some of them relate to architecture, and that's very important if you were to understand the point Foucault is driving at, which is not simply about prisons, although prisons and criminology are the focus of his study. He's trying to point out that we have a society that is an entire carceral body, a social prison, within which each one of us have certain safe walks and certain excluded walks. And all of them are surveilled, and our behavior is surveilled. You know this. You've walked in malls, and the dummies now, you know, the clothing dummies, frequently have these little cameras for eyes so that they watch you while you shop. I mean, this is... I don't want them watching me when I'm so overweight. When I'm trying on a new pair of pants, I don't want to have some anonymous person in a booth watching me try on my new pants. But surveillance isn't like that, and I have not yet achieved the status of docile body myself. But anyway, let me bring in Bentham again. Jeremy Bentham was not only one of the great utilitarians about whom you will hear in a course of the great minds, he was also an architect. And he has some drawings of a building called the Panopticon, which, as he says, could function as a prison, but also could be made to function as a university or a school or a hospital, because it has this odd feature. It's sort of a circular building within which the administrators can see down through every cell, but all the people in the various cells of the institution can see is at most the person across from them, and usually not that. It is not the building itself that I'm so interested in. Just like Foucault says, I'm not interested in the building itself, but the principle, the panoptic principle, what he calls panopticism. It is a hierarchical principle that allows the gaze to be directed unilaterally. I like to call it the CIA feeling, even though I think that the CIA is now largely obsolete. It's the CIA feeling. It's that they're looking at me, but how do I know when I'm looking at them? That's panopticism, and this is not just a feature of prisons. This is what Foucault points out. In fact, it's hilarious. Many of the same architects that built our prisons in North Carolina and elsewhere also built our what? our schools, our hospitals, all of the places in which we want to keep, contain, and control docile bodies, docile social bodies. For this reason, Foucault extends as a generalized critique of our society that it is in fact a prison. It is a carceral gulag. I mean, that's strong talk. That's strong talk. But if you think about my example of bulimia and anorexia, there's no prison that could lock a woman into more terror than that experience. There's no prison and no medieval torture that brings to mind this sort of slow death of the soul by degrees that a docile body suffers as it walks through all these routine and laid out paths of life, being constantly observed. And the current fascination with criminals, I view in the context of Foucault's work, it's not that current. I mean, in the 30s they loved gangster movies too, but this fascination with criminals is the compensation the media culture pays to us because of our secret attraction to crime, not because of our fear of it. The attraction of crime is the attraction of someone who says, hell no, I won't play that way anymore. And I admit that at one level we're afraid of criminals. We don't want to be hurt. People don't want to be hurt. I'm not arguing that. The argument's at a whole other level of institutional rules and expectations. In our society, in the United States, these rules include many rules of ethnicity that they wouldn't include in other societies, although there they have their own ethnic problems. But it is not accidental that at Duke and other universities like it, African-American males on campus get arrested with some frequency, at least detained, and it can sometimes be embarrassing when they turn out to be one of our new power forwards. Follow me? They go, oh, he's a power forward, let him on his way. No, it is that there are walkways through an institution like Duke where certain kinds of people are expected to move docilely and others are not. These are the exclusions that I'm talking about. You find this in malls. It used to be that a mall was just a damn place to go to shop. Now, not everybody can get in the mall. You know, if you're wearing a big baggy sweater and you've got an X hat, you may not be able to get in the mall. Not that I want in one. I'm a person who suffers from mall fever. Mall fever may be the last symptom preceding the death of what Foucault would call the docile body. Well, anyway, thank you very much, and that's as far as we could get with Foucault. Thank you.